evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is the inaugural Women Talk event. I'm Sue DL from 95.9 and 660, and I'm going to be your host tonight. First off, I'd like to ask, oh, thanks. Whew, my friend. $5 for you later. First off, I want to ask you all to please turn your cell phones on to vibrate, because frankly, that's just more fun than turning them off. And I'd also like to say a few thanks before we get going. Thank you to Cardell Theatre. Is this a beautiful little venue? Love it here. Fantastic. Thank you to Colin Marth. He is from Films with Gravity. He's filming tonight, and each segment will soon be going up on womentalk.ca, so you can check it out there afterwards. And a big thanks as well to our corporate sponsor, sportsbras.ca, who, of course, gives us less bounce for our buck. So the way we're going to work this tonight is 3 speakers, a short break, and then 3 speakers. Our format is fast-paced, but it definitely packs a punch. At the end of the evening, hopefully we'll have enough time. You guys will be able to chat with our presenters out in the front lobby. And of course, obviously 3 speakers and 3 speakers. I failed math a number of times, but I do know that is 6. So we do have 6 women speakers this evening, and I promise you that they will wow you, they will entertain you, they will bring a tear to your eye, they will bring a smile to your lips, and bring the word amazing to your mind. I promise that when you leave here tonight, you will have had at least one aha moment, to steal that from Oprah, a moment where you've learned something that will change your life, whether it's in a small way or just maybe in a big way. Who knows? And before we get going, I'd also like to do something very important. I'd like to introduce you to the founder of Women Talk. She has owned a women's sports store, a women's gym, and now owns sportsbras.ca. So I guess you could say that she has supported a lot of women during her life. The idea of Women Talk was born from her love of listening to women's stories and her love of TED Talk as well, and the marriage of the two was an easy one for her. She plans to take Women Talk right across Canada and to help numerous charities along the way. Tonight, Calgary's YWCA will benefit, so thank you for being a part of this and helping to help out the YWCA. You are privy to being part of the first ever Women Talk event, so please help me welcome Bridget Lessard.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, do one thing every day that scares you. That's number 2 for me today. I feel fantastic. There's nothing like a rush of adrenaline at 6 a.m. in the morning before your TV interview to keep you going all day long. Now, thank you everybody for coming tonight. We really appreciate your support. And we hope to have many more of these events in the future. Public speaking is a funny little thing. To me, it kind of reminds me of hot, spicy Mexican food. At first it hurts, then you sweat, and then you can kind of get addicted to it. And you come back for more, even though you go through the pain every time. We all have our reason for being afraid of public speaking. I know I do. English is not my first language. Just in case you didn't know, Sue, who likes to remind me and point out to me every time when I miss an H or randomly add one somewhere just because I can. But it is so rewarding. Don't let your reason stop you from doing it, because you miss out on a lot when you do that. And even worse, people around you miss out a lot when you don't do it. Because I really truly believe that by sharing their stories, women strengthen their community. So, give it a try. It's really, really awesome. Speaking of awesome ladies, I'd like to thank the ladies that have helped me make this happen. I truly appreciate them believing in me, believing in my idea, and working together to make this happen. So Sandy, Milan, Angie, Jane, and of course Sue, thank you so much. It really means the world to me that you supported me to put this together. And of course, thank you to our presenters, who are all very brave, amazing ladies. Some of them are pros, some of them are not. Some of them have never done this before, and they're probably using a brown paper bag right now. But I assure you that you will all make a difference in somebody's life tonight. you're all gonna leave somebody with something new that they never thought of before, or would have never thought of if you hadn't taken the risk of standing up here and sharing with your peers. So thank you. So everybody sit back, relax, and be prepared to be amazed, amused, and inspired.
All right, are you ready? Let's give a big round of applause for all the performers and the ladies who are going to be speaking here. Just kind of get everybody going, get everybody excited, get everybody pumped up. This is going to be super fun, so let's get going. We are starting with a bang. Ricochet is one of Calgary's most dynamic and energizing burlesque and belly dance performers. In 2009, she won the title of KGB's Miss Burlesque Fest and currently teaches burlesque at Fierce Girl Fitness. Her style has been described as fiery and energetic, combined with a mesmerizing stage presence. And she's one hell of a shimmying machine. Please welcome Ricochet.
I should probably formally introduce the rest of me. I am known as Ricochet here in Alberta. I'm a local performer. I'm a burlesque performer. Yes. And I am also a belly dance performer. Back in 2009, I remember I was really overweight and unhappy with myself. I was a size 18, and none of the clothes I wore looked great. And God forbid I go shopping for properly fitting clothes, because then I have to see what size I really am. But then after a while I realized, why am I so afraid? Why do I want to cover this up? I want to go work out, but I don't want people to see how big I am. Lululemons did not make pants my size. They didn't, not back then. Did you know shaking your tatas is a lot of work? Now, when I was a size 18, I realized I'm not happy here. I'm not ugly. that's different. That's when you stay home. Then I realized I wanted to change myself. I didn't want to go to the gym. I was too embarrassed to go. Then I went to a burlesque show. And I remember thinking, you mean what I do in my kitchen? I could do this on stage and people will appreciate me? Maybe I'll take classes. So I started taking classes. I took a beginner burlesque class. One of the biggest girls, one of the oldest girls there. And I thought, what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I should go home. But I already paid for it, and I don't like wasting money, and I couldn't get a refund, so I went home. Next thing you know, I'm taking burlesque classes. I was the worst student out there. This thing? Yeah. It did not look like that. No, I'm going to be honest. And then I got better at it. When my partner was in bed, when the kids were asleep, here I am. Try so hard. Come on, just shimmy. Just shimmy. And then I realized I did it right. Oh my God! But then I noticed things started shaking with the shimmy. That's a lot of shaking. Okay, let me tell you, if I shimmied back then, you guys would have known. And then something crazy happened along. There was an amateur burlesque competition. And I'm thinking, oh, that'd be so great if I could go on stage. Yeah, it'll be great if I could go on stage. I was still in kind of denial about how I looked. I knew I gained weight. I didn't realize I gained that much weight. And then I found out that, well, not found out, but I heard that it's the things you don't do that you regret. And I cannot tell you guys that enough. It's the things you don't do that you regret. 2 weeks before the competition, I put in my application. Then I started crying. And then I had to go shopping for clothes that actually fit. Then I saw the dress sizes. I'm like, oh, I'm a size 12, right? No. And then you start to accept slowly. Well, if I look this way, why the hell am I doing this? I ended up at the competition and found out I was the oldest lady there. I'm the biggest one. The next largest lady after me was a size 5. Wow. Just like how I felt tonight, I was this close to fleeing. I don't think you guys, I'm going to share a secret with you guys, but don't tell anyone, okay? I have an anxiety disorder. It takes me 5 hours to leave my house to buy a carton of milk. It takes me 5 hours to invite someone to come over and see me. If I'm terrified of leaving my house, what makes me think I can take off my clothes for strangers? Being the biggest girl, oh great, now I get to be the comedy act, right? But you know what was amazing? That one split moment, I did not run because it was crowded and the door was blocked, so I had no choice. I ended up on stage, and let me tell you what happened. The music started. All eyes were on me. And I didn't remember my choreography. I was standing there going, well, let's just fake it till I make it. Did it anyways. Do you know what an amazing feeling it is to have people screaming for you to take your clothes off? Now, I have 4 kids, and it shows on my body. I have had no work. I know, hard to believe. This is all natural. This is all natural. But what I realized was that while I was getting ready before I went on stage, was that I was like, oh, hey, my eyelashes look kind of pretty when I do that, hey? Oh, you mean if I curl my hair, I could look like that? Oh. I started to find things I loved about myself. No, I don't like this section. Notice that my panties are high up. Thank you, vintage. Thank you. They come up high for a reason. I'm not showing you guys what I don't like. I'm showing you guys everything I love. See these legs? Whoa. That's Jason. No gym membership can get you this. But I'm showcasing what I love about myself. And as I did burlesque more and more, I realized it was never about what size I was. It was never about the body shape I was in. It was never about the scars on my body. I realized because I loved, striking booze. I'm striking booze. I'm going to showcase that and I'm going to share that with you. You guys screamed for me, didn't you?
Yes.
Now, I don't know if burlesque is for you guys, but what I love about burlesque and what it did for me was that it taught me to embrace the things I love about my body. If you see some of the biggest names in burlesque, Dirty Martini, over 300 pounds, has been doing this for 20 years. She did it because she owns it. What's that? You ate too much at Christmas and it started to show? Whatever. Whatever you're packing here from Christmas dinner, or maybe Thanksgiving, I guess, just recently, that was family gatherings. You're shaking out there. Love it. You want to get to that rock hard ab body? Work for it. But also be gentle to yourself and remind yourself why I'm doing this. Because I love myself and I have so much about myself that I love. What else can I fall in love with? Coming here tonight was the biggest challenge so far in my adult life. Being anxious, having an anxiety disorder where you're terrified to see your friends, takes you 5 hours to go see them because you're that terrified. I am here tonight, stripping off all for you, showing you what I love about myself. And hey, you guys seem to have loved it too. I know, I teach burlesque downtown, and when I do that, before every single class, I get my students to look themselves in the eyes in the mirror, in their own eyes, and say, pick 2 things that you don't like about yourself. Just 2. We only have an hour for class, so just 2 issues. Now take those issues and throw it out the door. Now find the 2 things you love about yourself and focus on that. Because when I'm on stage, I'm not thinking about, oh my God, my stomach's going to be rippling along with my shimmies. I don't think that. I think my tits look great in the great stage. And my tits are so awesome that my pasties can't even stay on.
You're still off. Oh, I guess. Yeah. You get a shot,
Seriously, your step to a healthier living, your step to getting there is loving yourself and believing that you're worth more than this. A year ago, I could not do this. I could not stand on 1 foot. I did not have the core strength. Now, because I worked really hard at it and I believed I am better and I deserve better, I kept working at it. Now I'm shimmying, I'm twirling, I'm tasseling stuff, and I'm sitting at my house 5 hours every day before I get up and leave. But you know what? You know why I do this? I get physically ill. I dry heave. I throw up. I start crying. My husband sits there going, do you want me to call them and cancel them? You want me to? And I'll sit there, yes! Call them and cancel, but he doesn't. Because let me tell you something. If you're terrified of doing something, think of the little girl who just shook her tassels for you. I'm terrified of life. But even I know I am worth more. And I will push myself always to have a better quality life. If you are able to leave your house for a carton of milk, you can find 2 things you really love about yourself. Ladies, you are beautiful. If no one else will believe them, screw them. I'm sorry, pardon my language. Am I allowed to use that? Too late. If no one else wants to believe how beautiful you are, that's fine. I know. Feels like I'm talking to my family. They're all laughing. I'm like, come on, guys, it's serious. But guys, just know this. Love yourselves first. No one is going to be your biggest fan. You need to be your biggest fan. I come out stage terrified, peeing myself stupid. Sorry, next speaker. Pee myself out of nerves. But I do it because the feeling I get after I've shared my love of myself with others is worth more than everything. Next time when you work out, watch your body. Watch your muscles move. Because believe me, you'll find more and more reasons to work harder for yourself. Thank you.
What a great way to start. That is what Women Talk is all about. Hope you enjoyed that. Congratulations and thank you so much, Ricochet. That was absolutely amazing. I'm going to go home and practice now. I'll shake them later, totally later, like really much later. Next up, Jane Croshaw brings more than 30 years experience from her professional tennis career as both a player and a coach to the next natural step as an executive leadership coach with the Calgary-based coaching firm Awesome Journey Incorporated. And as a business coach, Jane uses her effectiveness in supporting individuals and teams to navigate world-class performance to achieve her clients' desired results through personal empowerment and mastery. Please welcome Jane Croshaw.
That's what I use, right?
We could do this if you want. This is that.
I'll use that, that's fine. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Good evening. Wow, that was quite the introduction. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. It's actually quite an honor to be a part of a format, Women Talk, with 6, 7, well, a room full of amazing women. And again, it's great to be here. Tonight I am going to be speaking on a topic that I've called Step In. I sort of borrowed a little bit from Sheryl Sandberg. Sheryl Sandberg is the COO for Facebook, and she wrote a book, Lean In. I want to take it a step further. I say we step in. Her book's amazing, but stepping in for me and what I'm speaking on tonight is very similar to what's just been said here, really facing our fears, stepping past our fears, and really living in a meaningful way. And even prior tonight, before coming up here, just speaking with actually some of the presenters tonight, and all of us are nervous. You know, we've spent the day, Bridget started the day on Global, got us all going, and you know, yes, it's a big step to come in front of all of you and share our past, you know, our passion, our message. One of the biggest fears is public speaking, and one tactic or one strategy that they say for public speakers is picture everybody naked. And when I think about that, if that's what I did, I'd be like this. It just wouldn't work for me. So I've just got to picture all of you here with your just being present, and that's good enough for me. Tonight I'm also going to touch on women, leadership, and facing change. And but before I jump in, just to add a little credibility to my talk, I am an executive coach, and the lay term for that is a business coach. I'm also a leadership development coach, and basically what that looks like is I go in organizations and help individuals and teams with high performance and effective leadership. And it's truly a passion of mine. A good part of my career has been as a tennis pro and a tennis coach, so transitioning into business coaching was a fairly natural transition, but all the same, it did take another leap of faith. I've always had a very, very, very keen interest, however, in high performance and fear, and the correlation between that. A lot of my life has been spent competing, and you know, even as a young girl, when I first started playing, I loved to play tennis. I loved being on the court, but I was fairly fearful. I grew up in Texas and played a lot of my tennis there, and I was a bit of a late bloomer in my sport. And so my first experience at competition was losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. I did not win. I don't know why I kept playing. I didn't get that satisfaction of winning. That's not what kept me going. What kept me going was the love of the game. And then there did come a turning point because I hung in there and I didn't quit. And bless my mother, she stuck in there with me. She poor thing, you know, she was a nervous wreck. She would come and watch me, and she would cheer me on, and I'd lose again and cry again, and we'd hang in there. But the main thing is, I learned a lot. I mean, we all have our own relationship with fear. We start to learn that in different ways. I'm also a real believer that we aren't born fearful. we may have fear-based childbirths, or they might be tough childbirths, but I don't believe we're born fearful. I believe it's something that, if you will, if I could use the word, I believe it's something we acquire, we learn. You know, our parents, and that it's not a blame game, but our parents, coaches, family, teachers, we all experience fear and have our own relationship with fear, you know, as we grow older. And so again, my interest in the whole subject of fear really came about through my years of competition. Before I go even a little bit further, I just want to do a little bit of a fear test. Now, this is a risk on my part. I want you to know what I'm about to do. I kind of, in my living room this afternoon, I was like, do I, don't I, do I? I was like, Jane, you got to. Okay, so we're going to do a room fear test, okay? And I'm just going to put this down for a minute, and we're going to just sort of feel out the levels of fear in the room, okay? And in the spirit of Halloween, which is coming, just going to kind of see what's going to happen here, okay? So, you guys ready? Boo! No, you're not scared. That was laughter. No, you're not scared. So obviously that wasn't very scary, okay? I do have to tell you one funny story about that, which came to mind when I was designing this amazing exercise that I'm doing with you right now. I was out to dinner years ago with a friend and my two kids, and we finished, we paid the bill. We actually were leaving the restaurant, and I'm a bit of a rascal, I guess, for lack of a more current word. And I saw we'd paid the bill, so I ran out of the restaurant, and I'm sort of hiding behind the front door, knowing that the rest of the gang's going to be coming out, and I'm going to do the big boo. So I'm waiting a little bit, and there's a little bit of a time lapse, and I'm like, come on, guys, where are you? And so anyway, the door opened, and I did it. I went, boo! Honest to God, it was like an elderly couple that got in front of them, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I scared them. I'm not scaring you. I scared them. I deeply apologize. And then, of course, the rest of them came out, and they're like, Mom, you're a loser. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so you're not afraid yet. So I'm going to try again. So now what I'm going to sort of picture here is that this is a hive and that you're a bunch of bees. Okay, so I'm going to try that one. Okay, do you know where I'm going with this? All right, well, you will in a second. Boo, bees! That was for Bridget. That was for Bridget because she's the owner of Sports Bras. So that was for you. One last one. I know that one was cute. One last one. I'm going to try and scare you with this one. Change. See? And notice your reaction. Your reaction, I mean, and I know I'm playing with you a little bit, but you're not scared. I just put change in your face. Well, kind of. I kind of yelled it at you. And it's just such an interesting phenomenon how we handle and deal with change. And we deal with it in such fearful ways. I mean, change can be good. Change can be, if you will, bad. And I'm kind of talking about, is this working? Can you hear me? Sorry, I'll use this and not yell. I'm kind of talking about the difficult change, the change where we're afraid, we want to move forward, but all those fears come in. What I believe is probably, and this is me, I'm not endorsing anybody's views except my own, but I really believe that the greatest fear that we carry is that fear of not being good enough. And it's sort of the overall, and all the little fears that trickle down, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear of public speaking. Basically, one really large fear for me was just fear of making a mistake. I just didn't want to make a mistake. I just didn't want the experience of what that felt like. And that showed up a lot in my tennis. I went through, even as a teenager, I went through a phase where, I'd be on court and I'd start losing and I'd get mad and then I'd start quitting. And it's not because that's what I wanted to do. It's how I coped also with stress, but it was also, what if my best wasn't good enough? What if I just laid it all out there? What if I gave it everything and I still lost? And I think that information would have been too much for me. And so, you know, I did sort of play and compete from a fearful place. And so then as I grew older and kept playing, I studied it and I wanted to learn more about it and understand it. And what I understand about fear today is, you know, fear is really my mind. Fear is really what I make it up to be. And you know, there's ways to deal with it. And that's sort of what I want to bring you through right now is what do you do? What do you do if you're stuck in fear? What do you do if you're just not moving? And I call it the 3 A's. Acceptance. Okay, no, sorry, that's 2. Awareness, acceptance, and action. And awareness is the first part of really flushing out a fear. What's the fear? I mean, and I'm going to sort of challenge all of you to consider this as well. You know, make a list. What are the fears? Flush them out, laugh at them, challenge them. Tell yourself the story that you have about some of these fears that you still might carry. But get them out there and expose them to yourself and see them for what they are. The acronym for fear, no, I'm not making it up. You've all heard it before. False evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. And I'm not talking about the healthy fear. I'm not talking about when you put your hand on a stove and it's hot and you know not to do that. I'm talking about those invisible fears, those fears that we carry with us that really don't make a lot of sense. Second of all is the acceptance. Accept it. Accept that this is your fear. Take responsibility for your fear. It's yours. What we tend to do when we feel afraid is we blame, and it's got to be, you know, their fault, and there's this lack of owning. And you mentioned owning earlier, and it's like, own it. It's your fear, because if you don't, you can't change it. And there's the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And what you can change is anything that you put your mind to, anything that you have that acceptance around. And then finally, action, stepping into action. Generally, when we're in fear, we ask ourselves the question, what's wrong with me? You know, there's nothing wrong with you. There's never been anything wrong with you. There'll never be anything wrong with you. You can ask yourself probably a more productive question and ask yourself the question of what's missing. So if I'm stuck in fear, what's missing? Okay, it could be one of 3 things. It could be a conversation. Okay, maybe you need to own your voice around something that you're feeling fearful about. Maybe you need to have a conversation with someone. Maybe you need to apologize for something, but own your voice around something that's going to help you with movement. Second of all is maybe there's a process to help you move out of fear. You know, are you stuck? Do you need to ask for help? What is that process? And lastly, a skill. Sometimes when we're stuck, we just need to develop a skill. Take a look at what's going on and what you need to what information you need to gather or what skill you need to improve. It's all about action. Fear does not move. You do not move out of fear unless you create some sort of step that feels like you're moving in that positive direction. So, just in closing for this evening, Marianne Williamson, whom I'm sure you've all heard of at one time or another, has been associated with, you know, a Nelson Mandela saying of, you know, be the change that you want to see in the world, which is very true. Be that change. And I'm just going to read you, not the whole thing, but just a couple of the sentences that are impactful. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? So anyway, thank you all. Be brave, shine, show up in your lives, and I appreciate your time. Good night.
Because my
up. Perfect. Are you guys having fun so far? What a great night. Are you learning? Learning how to shake it, learning how to own it. Hopefully we'll be learning more and more as we go along. Lisa Simone is the Director of Communications at Fresh Start Recovery Centre here in Calgary. She's passionate about her work as a recovery advocate. As a recovering addict herself, Lisa shares her story, her heart, and her perspective to help break the stigma of addiction and to create awareness about this chronic disease. Lisa is committed to helping her community get well and to breaking the shameful silence around addiction. So please welcome Lisa Simone.
This way. Looking in the mirror as a young child, I didn't see a princess looking back at me. In fact, one of my earliest childhood memories is me looking in the mirror so close up and saying, "You're so ugly. You're so ugly." The insides of me felt broken, but also the outsides were as well. I had a lisp, I was awkward and shy, and I was shy. So my insides and my outsides matched, and I was in hell. One swear. Things changed for me when I started in drinking at age 13. For the first time, I felt okay in my skin. The long, slow burn of the alcohol was a coming home. I became who I always knew was trapped inside of me. I drank and used excessively from the start. It started with pot and alcohol, and I slowly added more drugs and amounts in. My life consisted of parties, hangovers, and a lost little girl. In order for that lost little girl to feel okay, I needed to drink. Each time I drank or used, I woke up sick with guilt, shame, and remorse. Vowing if God could get me through this one time, I would never do it again. As soon as I felt better, the vow was gone and I was back to drinking. When I was 21, I met my first husband, Cam. He too was an addict and an alcoholic. And drinking excessively together felt okay until the game changed with crack cocaine. He worked in an oil patch and we moved all over the US. We lived in Texas and Louisiana, and crack cocaine was a short drive away. It started monthly, then weekly, and then daily, drinking and smoking for days on end. I truly never met addiction until I met crack cocaine. The fact is, it was always there. In October '99, I hit a bottom. My life consisted of pills, booze, and crack, and bills. Not paying my bills. I was a failure. I was hopeless. For the first time, Cam and I admitted that we needed help. He never got the chance. We all don't make it out alive. October 13th, 1999, I was 26 when my life changed. When I woke to find my husband dead of a drug overdose. His life ended at 29, leaving behind our son Braden, age 2, and me. I would do anything to avoid the feelings of the loss. My son lost his dad that day, but he also lost me to the bottle. I was simply not available to deal with God, what life had dealt me. I have no idea what slide I'm I sobered up a year and a half later. I stayed clean. I got my life back on track and changed everything about myself. I met recovery somewhat, and I also met the world of personal development. I was a new woman. I was so different that drinking had to be. So I went back to it. I was wrong. This decision took me back into the world of drinking and prescription pill use, or should I say abuse, for 7 years. Along that way, I got married, blended a family, had 2 more children, all while drinking, only stopping drinking and using while pregnant. Everything looked great on the outside. I was the great master of disguise. Everything on the inside was broken. I was full of self-loathing, guilt, and remorse. This time when I wanted to stop, I was not able to. Percocet was the love of my life, until it wanted my life. My disease had progressed, and I knew not what to do. I got humble, I got honest, I prayed, I surrendered, and I got clean. But I was ashamed. I never thought I would share with my kids who I really was. And after 6 months of being clean, They didn't even know I was a drinker. I thought I did it. I thought I fooled them. I got away with my alcoholic behavior. I thought I spared them the story of growing up with an alcoholic parent. In my second year of being sober, I realized how wrong and actually debilitating my actions were. I came clean. I told them my story. I told them I had a disease of alcoholism, the stigma of shame I had attached to it, and how scared I was to show them who I really was. I was finally willing to shatter this illusion. I told them my story because I realized if I cannot share with them who I really am and them to be compassionate, how can I expect anyone else to be? We have come so far around the issues around smoking and stopping drinking and driving. Fact is, each generation is getting wiser. Why is there such little progress around this disease? Because no one's talking about it. In the 80s, when we were first introduced to AIDS, if the gay community had decided to stay silent about this disease, they would all be dead. The addict is not the guy under the bridge. 75 of addicts and alcoholics hold jobs. One in seven of us are addicted. 1 in 3 of us will be touched by it. So how do we change public perception? We open our eyes and we see what is. If there's someone in your life and you say nothing and do nothing, if there's someone in your life who is addicted and you say nothing and do nothing, then you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. Just because it's an uncomfortable conversation doesn't mean that it's not there. My parents didn't say, so you need help, so you want help, or even if I wanted help. They said nothing. I was stuck in the silence of my sickness, and it was deadly. I was dying on the inside, and my parents, my family didn't have words. They didn't know that that's their growing up. The silence was deadly. They said nothing. Say something. Even, are you okay? Who do you know who's an alcoholic, an addict? Close your eyes. Picture them in your mind. What feelings come up for you? Anger, disappointment, frustration, embarrassment. The actions of addicts in their disease require compassion. They need help even if it's just a change of the perception. I'm so grateful that people embraced me where I was and gently spoke their truth. It helped me embrace myself, and the fierceness of my recovery began. I see the effects of the work I'm doing spill over onto my kids, and my kids are better because I'm real and the masks are off. Recovery is about celebrating our strength, our journey, to raise awareness that this is not about a lack of willpower. I have a disease and I also have a voice. So what's it like for me now? I'm part of a recovery advocacy group called Faces and Voices of Recovery. They are dedicated to organizing and mobilizing the 5 million Canadians in long-term recovery from addiction, along with their families, friends, and allies. What are the goals? To reduce stigma, to help build networks and communities of recovery, and to raise awareness and bring people together in the celebration of recovery. Together, we will demonstrate the power and proof of recovery from addiction and its value to individuals, families, and communities across Canada. We support all forms of recovery. We had a celebration on September 8th of this year. It was the first ever Rally for Recovery in Calgary, Alberta. Mayor Nenshi was there, and he had signed a proclamation saying that September 8th, 2013 was Recovery Day in Calgary. This is the first ever for our city. It was an amazing day of speakers, celebration, long-term recovery. This is what recovery looks like. It was a fantastic day for me. This is my son Braden, me and Cam's son Braden, and you know what, he blows me away. I've told him where his dad has come from, and I've told him where I've come from, and he has a very good understanding that he has a genetic piece, and he chooses not to drink or use. It's just a choice. He's 16, and it's so powerful because I see him being authentic. He doesn't wear the masks, and he's okay to sit in silence and uncomfortableness with feelings that normally I would run from. I'm very proud of him. Even when people ask him to drink, he says no. And I said, well, what do you say to them, Braden? And he says, Mom, I say that I'm a genetic time bomb. I said, well said, Braden. Well said. And this is my stepdaughter, A brilliant movie that is out is called The Anonymous People. Google the trailer. It's unbelievable. It talks about breaking the stigma and the silence around addiction. The recovery movement is rising up. I invite you to watch it when you get home. Share it with your friends and family. We are making history here with movies and movements that inspire people into a call to action.
That's so shabby.
I don't know where my microphone is. That brought a tear to your eye now, didn't it? And that is what Women Talk is all about. These are, as you can see, not women who are professional speakers. These are women who are standing before you telling their story to amaze you and to teach you and to help all of us learn and to grow. So I hope you're really enjoying. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. So if you could all come back, we'll finish up with our final 3 speakers who will continue to awe and amaze you. So you've got 10 minutes. Go do what you need to do and then come on back and we'll continue.